This NASCAR Texas 2024 weekend betting recap edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Play their fantasy pick'em for a chance to win 100x in NBA, MLB, MMA, NHL, NASCAR, F1, golf, and more. Sign up today using promo code RACESGPN to get a 100% deposit match. The NFL draft is coming up, and Old Fashioned Football is giving away some autographed NFL merch to celebrate. Head to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/OFF contest to enter their free contest.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you ask me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Welcome in to another exciting recap edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb, digging the hat today. If you're not watching on YouTube, do yourself a favor. Go check out Cody's hat. It's fantastic. And I, of course, am Rod Villagomez, minus the cool, snazzy hat. But, Cody, you have got to be on cloud nine today as a fan of the number 9 car.
Yes, Chase fucking Elliott, Rod. Not only do we give him out on the show 16-1, well, you did specifically, but I backed you up on it. But my favorite driver finally back in victory lane. 42 race winless streak finally snapped. And yeah, just man, so happy to see it. So glad that he finally got it done. Man, he earned this one. What a race too. Like, who I saw a post on Facebook. Somebody said, can you imagine telling someone in the early 2000s that Texas would put on a better show than Martinsville?
Ooh, yeah.
And man, look, what a day we got. Obviously, we'll get into it, break it down. But, man, just a fun race. Like, the storylines were all over the place. Constant action. I mean, Larson led the first 70-some laps or whatever. And then, like, after that, you had no idea who was going to win. I heard Jeff Gluck talking. He's like, I was walking around asking people, who do you think was the fastest car today? And nobody know. Like, was it Larson? Maybe. Was it Hamlin? Maybe. Was it Elliott? Maybe. Was it Reddick? Maybe. Like, nobody knows who the fastest car was. Like, what a great day of just exciting racing and action on the track. Constant changing of storylines and pit strategies working out multiple times for different guys. It was great to see. Great to see Hooters back in victory lane, Rod. McDonald's, a couple of years ago, they broke the curse. It had been 30 years or something since they'd been in victory lane before Bubba Wallace took them there. This was the first time that the Hooters primary sponsorship won a NASCAR race since Alan Kulwicki, rest in peace, Pocono, June 14th, 1992, 31 years and 10 months ago. Of course, Elliott did the Polish victory lap to honor Alan, of course. He went on to win the championship. Actually, crazy, he went on to win the championship that season in 92, Rod. Beat Bill Elliott, Chase's dad, of course, in the last race of the season to win the championship. And, of course, we lost him in a plane accident the next year and didn't get to see his career, live on. But great to see the Hooters make it back and, a longtime supporter of racing and of NASCAR. So that's always fun to see. But, yes, as a Chase Elliott fan, I'm pumped. Oh, yeah, we cashed a lot of fucking bets this weekend too, Rod. So I hope you didn't just blindly tail us because I've heard that that's a bad idea. But apparently it worked out all right this weekend.
It's funny too because we had folks in the Discord asking who the fastest car was and who was going to win, and I was like Elliott. So I'm glad I stick to my guns there. Speaking of the Discord today, it was hopping. JDK saying LFG, too much banter. I never win any money. I know, buddy. Sorry, we're bantering it up tonight. And then of course I am notorious. My brother checking in. Should be a fun show tonight, folks. And by the way, happy birthday, Nick. Very public happy birthday to my brother.
Yes. Happy birthday, Nick. Hope you had a great day. Hope you enjoyed your Applebee's tonight. Again, so tune into the Discord if you want to know. Trial of a Life checking in. We cashed a lot of bets this week. Cody Z with the quote of the week. Yep. Let's fucking go, baby. Good way to start the weekend. I mean, that's what we're here for, right? Cash a lot of weeks. Get prepped with a little chaos angle before we head to Talladega. You know how much I love betting on super speedways, Rod. Get the dartboard out. It's going to be fucking fun. IndyCar's back. F1's back. Oh, let's fucking go.
Indeed. Yeah, it's funny too. JDK in the Discord talking about -4. He actually called where we went before we even said, because
that was the greatest part of the entire night.
Yeah. So JDK, we had said that I was out with my family to celebrate my brother's birthday, in which JDK said, well, listen, just have the whole show live from Applebee's. I never once said that we went to Applebee's. And by the way, we went to Applebee's. So that was fantastic. So JDK -400 for Applebee's. That would have been a Max Verstappen-esque cash. So definitely. Why not Chili's for birthday?
Yeah. I mean, did you not see that Stuart Friesen truck on Friday night, Rob?
It was beautiful. It was beautiful. But we went to Chili's like a couple of weeks ago. Applebee's was something that my brother picked. So,
Applebee's was next up in the generic chain restaurant rotation.
Yeah. And plus they have good drinks too. So
looks like Hooters better be next on the list.
Well, we don't have one close by, but if we did, I would do it. So
that's
anyway, hey, listen, let me tell you first real quick. I got to tell you about we're spotlighting all of these great shows that we have in the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. You listen to ours, you blindly tail us, which is fantastic. But let me tell you about one of my good friends, Justin Mark, and his wife, Miranda. They have a fantastic show called Old Fashioned Fantasy Football, Old Fashioned Fantasy Podcast. Look, it's a fantasy show and a whiskey review all in one. The married couple that they are have great banter. They are fantastic people to listen to. They know their football. I love them. I love them so much, and I'm so glad that they are having a show together. Plus, since the NFL draft's around the corner, they're trying to give away some fantastic merchandise. Autographed merch to celebrate. JSN, Travis Etienne, J.K. Dobbins, Frank Gore, so much more. I'm trying to win that Frank Gore jersey, so you need to try to beat me for it. Old-fashioned football. Come for the football. Stay for the whiskey. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/OFF contest to enter.
By the way, first of all, that's my favorite show on the network. That, of course, isn't ours. Love Absolutely. Those guys. And Rod, I'm going to be on Thursday night with them. I believe 7 o'clock Central Time, roughly. Right. Going to go live. We're going to have a round table with discussion of the NFL draft and kind of where maybe some people will land, how that could affect their fantasy stuff and all. So they invited me on, and I'm excited for that. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and again, that I'm going to try to be on there. I'm away this weekend, so I'll try to get on there. We'll see if that works or not. Real quick, and this goes to Nick Fortunes. I can't believe I lost so much money from all of Cody's bets. He's the worst. Here's the thing, guys. There's been some things on Twitter the last couple of days, and there's been some stuff, and I feel I need to address this because I have the platform. I've got the microphone, and you will listen to every damn word that I have to say. Listen, our job is to try to help you cash tickets. That is what we do on a daily basis. We are here also for a little bit of entertainment. We would like to hope that we balance the entertainment,
aka banter.
AKA banter. We hope that we balance them out in a way that makes most people happy. We're not going to make every single person happy, but the majority of you, the ones that tune in and week out. If cashing tickets means backing Kyle Busch at +160, what would you rather have me say? Would you rather have me say that the 3,000 to 1 guy is going to win this race, or do you want me to give you the guy I honestly think is going to win the race? Are you so upset that I had to pick a favorite this week? And by the way,
I heard that +140s don't cash, Rod. So don't ever take a spread in the NFL again, because you're not getting that kind of number over there.
I don't understand. What do you want? And if I wouldn't have said that Kyle Busch was going to win, and if I pick some 3,000 to 1, you'd be like, well, how did you ignore Kyle Busch? He's the best truck on the road. Shut up.
It's,
take
I mean, yeah.
take it for what it is. understand that we walk a fine line between trying to cash you tickets and trying to be a little entertaining in the process. We said it before when there was too much banter on the show. If you don't like it, shut your mouth and go away. We definitely will not miss you. And if the numbers drop to 0 tomorrow, I'll still do this show because I'm doing it because I love what I do. And it's a lot of fun to sit behind this microphone. And if it's not for you, then by all means, don't bet on Kyle Busch doing the truck race when I tell you he's going to win and lose money. That's your problem, not mine. So sorry, Cody. Soapbox over.
Well said, Rod. I think that it's a point of achievement for the show. We've had a few trolls coming out here recently. Apparently, I've not gone back and listened. So once I do, I will make a formal apology. I misspoke. I said that Ty Majeski sucks. Ty Majeski doesn't suck. I gave out 2 head-to-heads against Ty Majeski. They cashed 100% of the laps. But it doesn't matter, Rod, because I gave out one slightly incorrect statistic, supposedly. Again, haven't gone back and double-checked that myself. So I just want to apologize. What is this, 391 episodes into this thing for accidentally giving out a slightly wrong statistic at one point in time, and yet still being absolutely fucking right on the pick and making you money. So, again, sincerest apologies and fuck off. Okay, Now that that's out of the way, let's get into the recap, Rod. Let's talk about this race.
Let's talk about this race. You know what? Let's talk about this race, but let's get this out of the way because this is the only other one that I've got to do. So let's get this out of the way, and then we'll come back and we'll uninterrupted recap all 3 of these races. So
the rest of this podcast will be brought to you commercial free by
by Underdog Fantasy. Have you played Underdog Fantasy? If not, listen, you missed out this weekend. We crushed Underdog Fantasy picks. I only missed one on the weekend. Thank you, Parker Kligerman, for absolutely bowing out of that race at an unforeseen moment, but we crushed the rest of it. Absolutely nailed the rest of our picks. So if you tailed at least 5 of the 6 picks that we gave you, you would have cashed a huge multiplier for your Underdog Fantasy. It's simple if you haven't played yet, especially for racing. All you got to do is pick better than or worse than the projected finishing positions that are given to you by Underdog. You watch that multiplier stack up as you pick up to 5 picks, and then sit back and cash it out. Sit back and wait till the end of it. And if you find those little spicy chilies, because you could cross sports too. You could do some basketball if there's some left. You could do baseball. You can do MMA. You can do all kinds of crazy stuff. F1 is on there as well. So you can make it all work out for you. So if you do that, you can win up to 100x on those little spicy multipliers there as well. Plus, the best part about it right now, if you use the promo code RACESGPN, you're going to get a 100% deposit match up to $100. So sign up today with our promo code RACESGPN and get your first deposit doubled to $100, as well as an instant pick'em special. Visit UnderdogFantasy.com or find them in the App Store. And don't forget to register with our promo code RACESGPN to get your first deposit doubled to $100, as well as that instant pick'em special. Must be 18 or older and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Like you said, Cody, it is Texas. We'll go with the Cup race as we always do because that's fresh in our memory. Like you said, this was actually a very entertaining race. And I love the fact that we did get, and that cashed one of our bets too, the fact that this was such an interesting race and it wasn't just a strung out follow the leader race for, the 300 some odd laps, 200 some odd laps that it was. So yeah, this turned into a good one. Like you said in the beginning, Chase Elliott breaking the winless streak and taking that 9. He is locked into the playoffs, NASCAR interns.
Oh my God, Rod, I don't remember which series it was. It must have been the Truck Series. They said 15 times, and that's not even an exaggeration. We've got 3 drivers, whatever it was, 3 or 4 drivers locked into the playoffs. And I'm like, yeah, in the Truck Series it makes a little more sense. But there's only 10 spots. You're probably not going to get that many winners. But, Rod, mathematically, they're not locked in. Okay. Again, Austin Hill, Denny Hamlin, William Byron, mathematically locked in, assuming they start every race the rest of the season or get a waiver. But anyways.
Yeah, indeed. All right. So like you said, Chase Elliott, is not locked, but he is a pretty decent favorite now to get in there.
He's locked in, Rod. It's fine.
Oh, I'm sorry. He's locked in. Yeah, anyways. So, yeah, this was a great race overall. And like you said, we cashed a lot of bets. So we'll do like we always do. We'll just talk through these bets, and we'll break down the race as we do it. So, Cody, where do we start?
Yeah, before that, too, Jeff Gluck tweeted this out as we got towards the end of the race, which I thought was great. What a spicy mix for the win coming to this restart. You had Chase Elliott looking for his first win since 2022. You had Denny Hamlin, always aggressive for the win. Didn't quite work out, right? You had Ross Chastain willing to do whatever it takes. That didn't work out either. Brad Keselowski, who hasn't won in 3 years, like all of the storylines. And that was on top of, we'll get into the Xfinity race in a minute, 0.0002 seconds. Ryan Seek so close. I hope this doesn't ruin his odds next week, Rod, because we're betting him at Talladega like we always do. But, man, just what an exciting way to get this end of this race going. So, all right, Rod, we'll kick it off. We went over to the Caesars secret backdoor speakeasy that you have to find the special tab to get into. Took some finishing position bets here. Denny Hamlin under 6.5, so be better than 6.5. This was cash the majority of the day. Obviously, he loses it at the end. And so I think that, again, somebody on Facebook had commented on our status about the bets we cashed. The caution flags will giveth, and they also take it away. So shout out to that guy. I think William is who it was. But yes, very true in this case. Denny was up there a majority of the day, right? Looked like he had a car that could win this for sure. And this was cashing. So didn't cash, but I don't regret placing it by any means. He shows up on these mile and a halves, time in and time out. I also had Bubba Wallace under 12.5, minus 115. This one had its ups and downs, Rod, because Bubba looked good, then Bubba looked bad, then Bubba looked good, then Bubba looked bad. Luckily, at the end of the day, ends up in 7th place. I accidentally said it was under 6.5 when I sent the tweet out, so apologies there. I did typo there. I'm human still, do make mistakes, even though it doesn't seem like it with my bets sometimes. Yeah, so the Bubba Wallace one cashes, Denny Hamlin one doesn't, but I feel like both these were good bets. And take one, lose one, kind of a washout there.
Yeah, and again, for Denny Hamlin, man, it's got to be rough for him. And I know after his press conference, he was like, yeah, I mean, I was just going for the win. And, again, he's got to win in hand.
He's got two. He's already got two in the bank, right? Yeah. So he's got nothing to lose. We know how much wins mean, right? I mean, in the scheme of things, the second place, not a huge thing for him. The points add up for the regular season title and all that. Maybe it would come back and bite him later, but you're going for the win there. You can't blame him for that. So unfortunately didn't cash, but that's how it goes.
Yeah. My brother talking about the mid-race cautions hurt the race. Yeah. I mean, there was some parts out there where
how are you bored? Like, see, and that's the argument I don't understand, because there were some people arguing that in the Discord too. Well, that's not racing. I get it. You want to see them just go out there and battle door to door, lap in and lap out. But that's not happening a lot, right? You get these cautions and it energizes things. I mean, we got to the point where we're coming to a restart late in the race where we have all those storylines lining up. You've got by far, I mean, if Kyle Larson's tire doesn't come off, Rod, he leads 213 laps today and wins this race, and I don't think anybody's going to challenge him. But his tire comes off, team sport, right? Then you could tell that literally the next restart, it was like, oh my God, everybody's going for it. Like everybody realized, like, holy shit, we have a chance at this, right? So I don't know. I like the cautions, and it shows how hard this car, 7-time champion Jimmy Johnson, hit the wall how many times this weekend?
He hasn't stopped.
That's another discussion about maybe it's time for him to not tarnish his reputation any more than he is. But anyways, like how hard it is for him to handle the car, right? Like, so I think it was great. And it made for exciting racing. We had that in Xfinity Series as well, where you get those late cautions, and then you get these great battles, and it makes it more exciting, which as a fan, as a bettor, that's not always great because that doesn't help. But I enjoyed it, and I thought it was exciting. Look, we've talked about how boring Texas has been in the past. It looked like it was maybe going to head that way with both Larson, and then Reddick also was running away with it later on too. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good race.
Yeah. Nick Fortune saying my wife thought for a moment that I was telling him to shut up. Well, no, I'm not, but got a little heated and passionate over there. So, all right. So my first bet was Larson, Hamlin, and Truex all to finish outside of the top 10. Cash this bet. Outstanding. Let's go. No, I'm just kidding. It was all inside the top 10. Unfortunately, none of them finished inside the top 10. At one point, though, these guys were running 1, 2, 3, which would have been fantastic if this would have turned into a race where, all of the cars would have stayed in line. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. Larson had a complete and total wheel fall off, literally drove until the wheels fall off. Truex's proverbial wheels fell off, and Denny decided to be Dart and Denny and could not end up cashing this one at all. So 3 drivers that should have been, 3 drivers that were at one point, all 3 drivers were top 10 drivers. They just weren't when it counted at that start-finish line. So, I mean, what can you say? Look, for Larson,
he was the best car. I think, by far. Obviously, he came all the way back from 2 laps down. Obviously, the cautions help with that and stuff, but put himself in the position or whatever. And, he ends up spinning out late, but he was really fast all weekend. Going into that race, you thought for sure he was just going to lead. I played him. This is why I fucking hate playing Kyle Larson as a one and done, Rod, because I can't ever nail it. Like, he's so, this seemed like the spot, right? We talked about a preseason. Texas is the one we picked for preseason picks. We get here, starts on a pole. I'm like, fuck it. I'm going to use him. Everybody else has already used him at Las Vegas. They burned him early. Luckily, it all worked for them. And I'm like, here we go. This is my chance to catch up. And then he fucking, God damn it. Anyways, so it's side tangent. But next up for me, Rod, I had Ross Chastain over Christopher Bell, plus 110. I would like to submit this to the bad beats of the week that SGPN does. This was, so look, here was the handicap, right? Thought Bell would be fast because he usually is, but he's unreliable. And it's crazy because there's 3 guys that in general, I think, are unreliable to bet on that are oftentimes, there's some guys, and we'll get to like Brandon Jones and Xfinity. He's unreliable to bet on, but when he's 25-1, like, worth it because he can jump up and almost win a race like he did on Saturday, right? But in the Cup Series, like Kyle Larson, yeah, everything pointed towards he should be great this weekend. He should win, but we had the conversation last week about hard to lay him at that short of a number, at 4-1 or plus 350, whatever it was. And look, it didn't work out. So, but Christopher Bell is another one of those guys, and trouble struck him early. He gets into the wall. It happened with Larson. Who's the other guy? Reddick. The fucking pit crew strikes again. It's like, my God, some of these guys just can't get to break. So this was definitely the right call. Bell gets in trouble early, which was the handicap. Chastain, literally, we're what, 2? Do we go to 2 or 3 overtimes? And
3.
He's second place. And then obviously, gets turned by Byron there at the end, which I don't think was Byron's fault at all. I think they were just racing. But and so obviously, his result ends up being 32nd. Just such a bad beat because Bell actually did recover for 17th, not a bad day, but was nowhere close to second where Chastain was on that final lap in the 3rd overtime. And that's just how it goes sometimes, unfortunately. So, it doesn't hit this time, but again, I think the thought process was correct.
Yeah, Chastain and Elliott were fighting out that front row too at the restart.
Yeah,
so
Chastain close. We'll talk about that in a few because he was close to winning this race. And I don't think Bell really had a chance to win ever at any point. So, and at plus money too. So again, good bet. Just didn't fall our way, which some things did, some things didn't. That's how it goes.
I'm glad this one fell our way. I had William Byron as a top 3 car. Look, if William Byron would have finished
have
third,
we decided yet, Rod, if he finished 2nd or 3rd?
Well, he finished 3rd. Officially, he finished 3rd, and that's what NASCAR is telling me. He crossed the finish line in 2nd, but the scoring loop or the caution line or whatever, at the time of the caution is where we got right because
and for the end of the race they freeze the video instead. So like during the race on cautions, they go back to the scoring loop. That's why at the one point Elliott got the lead instead of Hamlin. But at the end of the race, it's video evidence when they hit the button. So Keselowski, but it didn't affect this bet, obviously. But I thought it was funny. Keselowski, I thought it was great. He gets out of the car. He's like, I don't know that we finished 3rd. I think we were at 2nd, and he ends up being correct. So
yep. Yeah, he was like, he had to go to the tape. He threw his challenge flag, and he definitely won that challenge. But yeah, so again, William Byron comes in 2nd when everything all shakes out. But yeah, he comes in 3rd, and this one still cashes this bet. Boy, let me tell you, this one was a sweat because William Byron was not running in the top 3.
Was it though, Rod? Like that's just, is he just the new Kevin Harvick? Like I thought for sure he was going to win this race because he just creeped up, and there he was sitting right there at the end, and you think, Chastain's going to dive bomb Elliott. They're going to take them both out. Byron's just going to power through. And like, Byron is just that guy. He doesn't have to be the most dominant car. He just shows up and he's there at the end of the race. Like, he's got that closer in him.
Yeah, but for me, I was looking at Hamlin. I was looking at Chastain. I was looking at those guys. If they would have been able to keep their car underneath them, like that's not a William Byron. He started 6th, William Byron did. And he was not necessarily a 6th place car all day long. The cautions were helping him out. Just staying out of trouble helped him out. So, yeah, William Byron had the car to be there. But, boy, let me tell you, I almost thought for a half a second this wasn't going to cash. So, thankfully.
Yeah, it didn't look good early for sure. He didn't definitely show up with a ton of speed. But there at the end, like he usually is. So, good call by you to cash that at plus 210. I took Byron and Hamlin top 10 together, parlayed over on Caesars. I gave a whole speech about how these guys are both reliable. They're both there at the end. And they were, Rod, until they weren't. Obviously, Byron in third, but then Hamlin, he was also in second place when he, it was just like you get up into that second groove or whatever the deal was. And I don't know if it was the arrow. I'll be interested to hear, Hamlin's take on it and some other drivers as we get throughout the week as to why, getting up there in second place. Because we saw that, 3 or 4 different times where it cost these guys. So where did Hamlin? He ended back in 30th. Jimmy Johnson beat Denny Hamlin. So if you had that head-to-head, congratulations. But, yeah, obviously, I think this was, again, Byron wasn't great all day, but he was a top 10 car, and Hamlin was in competition for the win. So don't cash this one, unfortunately. Had Ty Gibbs top Toyota. Boy, this was looking good for a while, Rod. He was running really well. Also had him a top 10 at minus 120. Unfortunately, there was just one time, Bubba got loose and then the Ty got squirrely and dropped back, and then something else happened, and you saw him on the leaderboard and he's 12th, and then all of a sudden he wasn't even in the top 20, and you're like, oh shit. And then they got screwed early on that caution flag. He stays out a little later. Then there's the fire in the pit stall right in front of his, so he can't really get into pit. Then they pit late, then he gets lapped, then the caution comes out, has some other pit problems. So don't give up on him. I know that Rod's theory is he's in his sophomore slump here. It's 3 bad races in a row. But I still fully believe in Ty Gibbs. So unfortunately, these ones didn't cash either. But again, he qualifies second. He's the fastest Toyota in qualifying. And you end up, if you look at the end of the race, Rod, Reddick ends up recovering for 4th and Bubba in 7th. But then Ty was the next Toyota in 13th. He still ended up with a decent finish. Not that far out of the top 10. The third Toyota as far as the leaderboard goes for top Toyota. So I think I would place these bets again and, be interested to see what his number is at Kansas in a couple of weeks. We're coming back to a fairly similar track. Again, 1.5 miles at Kansas and in 3 races here. So we'll be able to carry over, maybe some of the stuff we saw today. I don't know about everything we saw today to Kansas. But I think him being fast is one thing we will be able to carry over.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, if this were any other driver, you'd be sounding the alarm bells right now. So,
it's 3 races, Rod. He's young.
Your Gibbs goggles are starting to show there, buddy.
I'm gonna wear my Ty Gibbs hat next week. Actually, I don't have a Ty Gibbs hat. I need to get a Ty Gibbs hat.
We got to get you Gibbs goggles. That's what we need to get you right there.
I would wear Gibbs goggles.
Gibbs goggles. That'll be Cody's new accessory. My next
you know me, I like the props, so
I know you do. So we'll get you some Gibbs goggles. My next bet is not going to be hard to go over. It was Logano over Reddick. At no point was Logano ever faster than Reddick, so this one was junk from the start. Now, granted, good for Logano climbing up from a 20th place spot to 11th, and the handicap here was that Reddick was just not going to be very good this week. I was wrong. I'll eat it. Reddick was fantastic. Recovered for a now. Look at this one had its ups and downs as well, with Reddick doing Reddick things every once in a while. But that team hung together and finished where they started. Whereas Logano, yeah, I mean there was no sweat on this one if you were on the Reddick side of it. So, and the only reason I didn't take the Reddick side of it was because the price was not right. So yeah. I was just going after, kind of going for it. So Logano Reddick, no contest.
Yeah, I mean Logano again, Rod. Just is he going to be good? Is he going to be out to lunch? And he was out to lunch. I mean, they tried to catch a strategy. They're late. Didn't really work out for him. But yeah, I don't know. Your brother is. We have a product, gentlemen. Gibbs goggles. I have a guy in manufacturing who can make this happen. Beautiful. Get on that. Let us know. You know what did happen this week, Rod? Carson Hocevar showed up again. Took him to win Group F over on Caesars, plus 220 against Corey LaJoie, Josh Berry, Austin Cindric. Berry ends up in the wall twice out of the race, Rod, so he ended up not really being a factor. Corey LaJoie, he caught the caution right on that last one where the guys all stayed out. And a 22nd place, that's a respectable day for Corey LaJoie. Not bad by any means, but Austin Cindric, again, still not even sure if he was in the race. I never saw the 2-car once throughout the race, Rod. One spot behind Justin Haley. You often expect Rick Ware cars to beat Penske Fords, so makes a lot of sense. 25th place for Austin Cindric. Again, man, I don't know. You got to think at some point, I understand that his dad basically runs Penske, but when does the heat get turned up on that seat? Anyways, Rod, Carson Hocevar, 10th place. The kid just gets it done, man. Carson Hocevar is a young kid we are going to be talking about for a while. That 77 car has been absolute trash for years. Corey LaJoie still sort of struggles in the 7 car at times, as much as I love to talk about him and praise him, but like Carson Hocevar just showing up in this equipment and kicking ass. Like, it's amazing. And a lot of this was just kind of surviving to get there to the end, but that's part of it, Rod. No sweat at all on this. Hocevar obviously in 10th, and then LaJoie in 22nd was the next closest person. So easily cashed Hocevar to win Group F.
Indeed. Another bet that we easily cashed was the number 4 drivers to lead a lap was set at 11.5. And I said, go ahead and hammer that. 13 drivers led a lap in this race, including Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, Tyler Reddick, Denny Hamlin, Ross Chastain, Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano, Harrison Burton, Bubba Wallace, Ty Gibbs, Todd Gilliland, who? Chris Bell, Austin Hill, huh? Yeah, all 13 of those guys led a lap.
How hard was Kim Burton just praying for like the storm of all storms ever to just come out while Harrison was leading, because that's the only time she's ever seen him up front in the Cup Series, and she's like, oh my God. And like, if you remember back in the Xfinity days, he would actually perform well there and won some races, and like she's the most nervous person ever. And really, back in the day when Jeff raced, her husband and Harrison's dad, she was the same way. So it's always great to get the Kim Burton check in, because she's the most nervous person in the world. But yeah, I'm surprised it was only 13, honestly, because it seemed like it was more than that with all the chaos of the day, but still a pretty comfortable cash on this. The cautions one went way over 2. I know we didn't give that one out, but I feel like we had talked about it. So that one obviously easily covered as well. So top 10 bets, Rod. I told you my favorite bet of the week. I wrote this up in my article as well over at sportsgamblingpodcast.com. Brad Keselowski plus 140, top 10. I don't know that we deserve to cash this one, Rod. Brad Keselowski was not that good today, but he played the stretch. But I will say, part of ever betting on Brad Keselowski is playing the gambling strategy. There is not a single driver in NASCAR that gambles more than Keselowski. They did it again, and it worked out. He ends up, having a chance to win at the end there, right? Officially scored in 2nd place, so easily cashes this top 10. Again, little iffy if maybe he deserved to be in the top 10, but I don't care, because despite what I've been told this week, Rod, it doesn't matter what happens in the race. It matters what happens at the end of the race and where they finish. That's actually how they pay these bets out, which is, I didn't even know that. 390 episodes into this, didn't even know that they don't pay him out at the end of the day, but whatever. Anyways, Keselowski plus 140. This one does cash. Also at Gragson at plus 450. Again, it was a long shot. 18th place. Not bad from him. I don't really remember hearing much from him throughout the day, so I don't know that a top 10 was ever really in his options. But you look at some of the guys who made it in the top 10, like Daniel Suarez, and he was fast in practice, but he's a little bit surprising. Chase Briscoe gets up there again, qualified well. Austin Dillon and Kyle Busch. Now that was strategy, right? They caught the caution flag right, but something like that happens with a guy like Gragson, and maybe you're cashing this. So 16th place, not a bad finish. By the way, just because I was scrolling through the finishing results, Ty Dillon in 16th, Rod, in the shitty Colleague equipment. Shout out to him. What a run. Not even Talladega, where he's going to get a top 5 next week if he's racing in that car, which he might not be. But, yeah, shout out to him. But, yeah, so Brad Keselowski, easy cash, top 10. Gragson, not so much.
Yeah, so my next one was fun. to cheer for, but
Well,
it certainly wasn't fun to cash.
what did the result? I mean, I'm
The
curious.
official is
like,
under caution. I think they would give it
uh,
under caution. So there's no margin to victory. So
I was wondering because I'm like trying to measure it out at the end. I'm like, well, when the caution light comes out, Elliott might have been like just over a second in the lead.
well,
But I
so
wasn't sure how but under caution would make the most sense.
under caution, but the delta was at what was it, 0.3 of a second. So that was what they gave it as the delta. But again, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to give that to you. So this one still didn't cash. So margin of victory was not between 1.001 and 2 seconds, and it probably wouldn't have been, man, because these guys were running away. 4-second lead for who had the 4-second
Well,
lead?
yeah, I mean, Larson at the early on was checked. Well, he was managing the gap, but he was checked out.
Yeah.
And Reddick, was just obliterating everyone. There was no managing from him. He was balls to the wall when he was in the lead, which obviously he was trying to build up a lead for when his pit crew fucked things up. So smart move by him. But this is a plug right here, Rod, for the Discord. The JDK saying Briscoe top 10 paid like an outright. Look, JDK, one of the most active guys in the Discord. We love him over there. Let me back up. If you don't know what Discord is, you're unsure, whatever, it's just an app. It's a messaging app where we kind of all hang out, basically. You type in sg.pn/Discord in your browser. It'll take you over there. You join, you sign up, get in there. And there's a bunch of channels for every sport. So whatever you want to go talk about, hockey, MMA, basketball, baseball, everything is – there's like a bar room, casino stuff, like whatever you want to talk about. But in the NASCAR chat, of course, where we're hanging out the most, and JDK early in the week, first bet I placed, Chase Elliott. So shout out to him for hitting that. And then he also says, Briscoe, top 10, it was like plus 850, I think he got on Bet365. It was a clear misprice. Luckily, Bet365 didn't reverse it. But if you're in the Discord and you have access to Bet365 and you see him point out that misprice, guess who also has it, Rod? You do. That's why we're giving out picks here, obviously, and you shouldn't blindly tail us, as we've been told. But get in the Discord. Yeah, plus 800, that is what he got. So make sure you're over there because, again, different people have access to different things. I know we had some people, there was some Hard Rock, had crazy outrights on Larson when he was 2 laps down, and everybody's
10-1.
Yeah, no, I think he was like 100-1 or something. Like there was a one that was way mispriced.
You're right.
Yeah, because he was like 10-1 on everybody else's book, but 100-1 on Hard Rock. So get over there because if you're going to be able to find those advantages over there. So that's my Discord plug for the day, Rod. Outrights, feel pretty good about these. Denny Hamlin 7-1. I mean, Larson gets cleared out of the way early. Reddick maybe he's going to win and then has pit stop problems. And then it's like, well, here comes Denny Hamlin, right? He's just going to do this again. Maybe not the fastest car on the day, but finds himself there. Again, it was like Larson seemed like an obvious pick, but only a 4-1. You could get Hamlin. He's always there. And, obviously he doesn't cash, but felt good about holding that. Bubba Wallace at 18-1. I don't know. Maybe that wasn't the best bet. I don't think he really ever had a shot to win. After how much he led in the fall here, how good he's been on 1.5 miles. I don't hate it. I hope this keeps his number inflated for Kansas in a few weeks because I'll be right back in the Bubba Well for Kansas for sure. That's probably his. I don't think it's even probably. That is his best track. And then Ross Chastain, 16-1. I mean, it was going to come down to one of our 16-1s winning this at the end of the day, Rod, right? So Chastain would have had us eating a watermelon. He looked really good. Again, great value there. That one didn't cash, Rod, but
mine did, by the way. Chase Elliott, 16-1. I did say that this was not one that I felt fantastic about, but he had to have done. I mean, given the strength of what we'd seen from his teammates, given the strength from what we've seen from him over the last couple of weeks, the momentum was there. And you can't quantify momentum. I get it. I understand it. Even Phil said it this week. You can't quantify momentum, but damn it, it's a real thing in sports, and it's a real thing in racing. You get hot, you start feeling good about yourself, you start to put your car in places where you probably wouldn't have last week or the week before or the week before that. You take a few more risks with that. You stay out. You drive a person a little bit harder at the end of a race to try to get the win instead of trying to protect your car. It's a lot different of a mindset, man. When you get in a car, you have to be in the right mindset. Chase Elliott's been in that right mindset. And so the fact that he was 16-1 on ESPN was, a fantastic number for a guy who is on the come up. And guess what? He came all the way up, got that cute little cowboy hat that he's got going on, that awesome little trophy that he's got now. So look,
little 6 shooters with it.
Little 6 shooters with it. It's a beautiful sight. And for Chase Elliott, this just means now he can be a lot more creative in his approaches in the next week. So we may end up bringing Chase Elliott's name up a lot more than we have been in the last few weeks, because this signals the beginning of a Chase Elliott run, in my opinion.
Yeah, look, I've been a Chase Elliott fan since day one. I was a Bill Elliott fan as a kid. Elliott Chase signed with Hendrick when he was 14 or 15. It's like I was paying attention to his late model racing. He comes up through all the series, comes into the Cup Series. So I've been a fan the whole time with Chase Elliott. There is not a more streaky driver in the entire garage than Chase Elliott. When he's on a cold streak, it is a cold streak. When he's on a hot streak, it's a hot streak. He's good at Talladega, but I kind of hate having a super speedway in here. But look at Dover in a couple of weeks coming up. He's probably the best driver on concrete in general. That's going to look good for him. I think Alan Gustafson made some really good points in the post-race, Rod. You look back, and Chase Elliott made some comments on the Dale Jr. download a few weeks ago. Oh, I haven't figured out this new car. Oh, shucks, whatever. And Jeff Gluck made a good point. Like, Chase Elliott could win 8 races in a row, and he would still tell you, I'm not doing that good. I can do better. Like, that's just his personality. But Alan Gustafson said, look, 2022, the first of this car, 5 wins and the regular season title. A great season by Chase Elliott. Then you go into 2023, second place at Auto Club right out of Daytona. Then he breaks his leg, Rod. So it kind of throws everything off. But he still finished the season 5th in average finish. Coming into this race, he was 4th place in the points, 5th in best average running position this year, 2nd to William Byron in best average finishing position coming into this weekend. Like, it's not that Chase Elliott has been bad, and I know everybody's been sounding the alarms and calling for Alan Gustafson's head and everything, but they've not been that far off. Yes, he hasn't had the dominant cars like a Larson and a Byron at times, and you're like, what's going on? But when Chase Elliott catches on, watch out, because it can pop off really fast. He's a really good driver. So definitely going to be a guy, again, Talladega this weekend, we'll see how things are. But if they're sleeping on him at all going into Dover, going into Kansas, we've got some good races coming up where Chase Elliott could really go off. So, JDK saying Chase Elliott is a very good driver. I think he had different opinions recently, but cashed some big bets for him this week. So loves him as a driver now.
Indeed. Talking to my brother real quick about the Kyle Busch thing. He says, feel free to ignore me. But it's amazing that he grew up a diehard Childress guy. Now that he's reduced to Austin Dillon and Kyle Busch. Listen, we'll talk about Kyle Busch more in a little bit, but
yeah. But Kyle, let's hold on, because look, all right, here's what I want to say to you as an RCR fan. Kyle Busch had 3 wins with RCR last year. It's not like he's been shit this whole time. We've just gone through a stretch of short tracks, which RCR has not been good at for any period of time in this new car, and a road course where Kyle Busch is, he can be good, and he was okay, but like, you come into this week and 8th and 9th for Austin Dillon and Kyle Busch. Now, I understand a little bit of strategy played into that, but I don't think we need to sound all the alarms right away. I think they're definitely lagging behind, and again, we've now seen only Hendrick and Gibbs win outside of Daniel Suarez at a super speedway at Atlanta. So things are definitely reverting back to these teams being the dominant ones. But I wouldn't be too out on Kyle Busch just yet. Austin Dillon, he's got his spots, right?
Yeah, I'm still out on Kyle Busch, except where it counts, and we'll talk about that in a second. Let's turn our calendars back to Saturday, and let's go over the Andes Frozen Custard 300, which, by the way, I still love that everybody was eating Andes in the booth. That was fantastic television right there. It didn't even look like Chris was loving it at all. He just didn't look like he was enjoying his custard. So
how do you not enjoy? I mean,
did you see his face?
Yes, I know, but how do you not enjoy it? I don't know.
I don't know. You tell me. But a lot of fun in that one too. So much drama in the not LBC, Fort Worth, BC. I don't know, whatever. And it came down to the end for this one as well. 0.002. This was another race in which Lightning McQueen's tongue won him the race in this instance.
You didn't even need the entire tongue of Lightning McQueen. Second closest finish in Xfinity Series history. Like, man, that what a great finish. And the whole race was good. Like, people were commenting that throughout the race too, was, man, imagine if we had this Xfinity car for the Cup Series guys, right? Like, look how good this has been. But yeah, just what a good race. My guy Ryan Sieg. Somebody, when we were recording live for the Xfinity show, somebody brought him up 12-1 in the chat. Whoever that was, shout out to you. I don't remember who it was, but for a top 5, and they're like, what about this? And it was like, maybe we'll see if he's like, obviously on these mile and a halves, they're apparently bringing Stewart Haas cars because, again, a little help with some circumstances late, but boy, he had a chance to really get that done. I bet if you've not listened to the show very long, I bet on Ryan Sieg every single super speedway race. He will be on my card this week at Talladega. And he's come so close to cashing big bets there. We've hit him big on other bets, top 4s, top 5s, all this other stuff. But he is a guy that I absolutely love betting on. Would have been nice to see him get his first win, but what a freaking finish.
Indeed. All right, let's talk over the betting card as we recap the race along the way. Cody, what was your first bet?
Rod, Austin Hill, top 5, plus 140. A third week in a row this doesn't cash. Now, this will not be playable next week. Austin Hill at Talladega will probably be somewhere in the range of plus 150 to win the race. Rod will probably take that bet. I will tell Rod that's a bad idea, and we'll see how it goes. He finishes 6th here. I'm torn on how I feel about this bet and how I feel about this bet going forward. So the way you look at it, right, is we know Austin Hill's never going to be the best car, or rarely going to be the best car. But we know he's going to be there at the end, and he's going to have a chance at a top 5 and maybe even a win, right? And that's exactly what happened here, right? I mean, he finishes in 6th place. So was it a bad bet, even though he looked like shit throughout the race? Because the point of the bet is he's going to be there at the end. I think that it hurts because it's been 3 weeks in a row that it hasn't cashed. Now we're going to give it a week off. Actually, I think there'll be a Dover. I can't remember. But we're going to give it a week off at Talladega because he'll be like minus $8 billion on a super speedway for a top 5, which is stupid. But I don't know. We'll revisit this later on. But I still feel like a good bet. I mean, plus 140, finishes in 6th place. You're one spot outside of getting it done. So close. Andrew in the chat saying, "What's up, boys?" Andrew also has some sad faces. I don't know if that's for Austin Hill top 5
I think it's
or what that was for, but yes, I also have that face for Austin Hill top 5.
Sad indeed. All right. So my first bet actually cashed. It shouldn't have, but it did. And I don't care how, it just happened to cash. I had Taylor Gray over Brandon Jones. Hey, look, Brandon Jones and all of Junior Motorsports. Can we just stop with this Junior Motorsports hate? I've been on them for so long that I don't even know what it's like to not be on them anymore. But Junior Motorsports.
Okay. I guess they had 2 guys in the top 3. I was going to say, let's look at the results before we completely stop. But I forgot Allgaier, who again, hilariously dominates another race that he doesn't win. I forgot he finished 3rd. So the results were good. Okay.
But even still, Junior Motorsports with Brandon Jones being up there, every single one of them was in the top 10 at one point. So, and all 4 cars were running very, very close to each other. So that was pretty exciting. But unfortunately, Brandon Jones, one of the recipients of not good restarts in that one, shuffled back, kind of lost it a little bit, and ended up finishing in 13th.
Horrendous restart.
It was a horrendous restart. That dude had it. He
must have missed a shift again, right?
Oh, dude, he missed every shift, and everybody didn't. Yeah, they shifted, and he stayed in neutral. But unfortunately, yeah, that was rough for him because he was actually.
Him not shifting worked out for the shifties. Huh?
It did too. The shifties got a win in this one. Taylor Gray finishing in 11th place, and good for Taylor, man. That guy, he was all over the map, man. It was a rough day for him, but he managed to finish just outside of the top 10. He started 3rd, and then that 19 was to the back. It was to the front. It was to the back again. It was like the pit strategies got him around. A couple of bad cautions got him caught up in some stuff, but yeah, good for Taylor to be able to muscle his way back up to an 11th place and eventually cash this bet. So yeah, definitely.
Well, and on the first lap of the race, he about destroyed it in front of everyone. How he saved that car, I still don't know. But right. Yeah, I mean, this was a good bet. I said when you made this bet, I said I'm going to make a case for Brandon Jones in a bid, but taking this head to head, still a good idea because it's hero or zero with Brandon Jones. You almost got the hero, but you ended up getting the zero, right? So, great call by you on taking Taylor Gray over Brandon Jones. I had Jesse Love over Sammy Smith plus money. These guys finished back-to-back. The books do it yet again, Rod. Sammy Smith got the better of Jesse Love, unfortunately. Sammy, again, another solid finish from him. I think I got to tone down the hate on Sammy Smith because he's not been great, but he continues to run around in this 8th place spot. He actually was running really better than that at one point, too, kind of up there in the mix. Maybe you thought for half a second he would have a chance at something. Love, again, another pole, Rod. Dude, he's been killing it with I don't know if he's got the webbed glove going on. They borrowed from Joey Logano or what's going on in that 2 car, but damn, they have some raw 1-lap speed. But unfortunately missed this one. At plus money for guys finishing back-to-back, I think I would take it again. But I do think that maybe the Sammy Smith hate has to kind of stop from me going forward because he's actually running pretty well and getting some solid finishes here, and we're kind of getting on a run of that. So Sammy Smith, the guy I used to be head over heels in love with, Rod, quickly burned me after a while switching to JRM, but starting to get back in the good graces now.
Look, when Anakin Skywalker crossed over to become Darth Vader, you know that you still loved Anakin, but you can't anymore in this iteration of Darth Vader. So I'm just saying, I get it. You got the love for him when he's on the good side of the manufacturer, but when he goes to Junior Motorsports, he becomes this evil red lightsaber wielding thing. It's okay. I get it. I understand.
There's your Star Trek for the day. Oh, just kidding. I know Star Wars. I just wanted to see somebody's head explode.
Oh my God, you just killed so many.
Somebody just about ran off the road. It's Star Wars.
I'm gonna kill that guy. I'm never betting anything on him again. All right. Speaking of the red lightsaber wielding folks, Sam Mayer. I had him in a matchup over Sheldon Creed. You know, good for Sheldon Creed to be as good as he was early in this race. And you thought for a half a second that this one was actually going to be a bad bet, right? Sheldon Creed, then he remembered he was Sheldon Creed. Like Sheldon Creed led 2 laps in this race. He was actually one of the faster cars in the entire thing. And he started deeper in the field too, which is, I thought this was a lock because, you know, here comes Sheldon Creed starting in 15th position. And then Sam Mayer starting in 10th. I thought, okay, we got this. Like, as long as Sam Mayer just keeps him ahead of him, we're good to go. But no, Sheldon Creed decides he wants to actually be a fast car, a fast enough car to keep it ahead of Sam Mayer for some of this race. But credit to that one team, man. They just kept plugging away. They weren't even at the top 10 at the end of stage 1. Now, granted, that had a lot to do with pit strategy as well. But they were just 10th place at the end of stage 2. Just kept being in the right place at the right time, and he had a fast rocket ship. Whereas Sheldon Creed, remembered he was Sheldon Creed at one point and slipped way back. He got shoved up into the clear second lane stuff and couldn't hang on to the car. So yeah, good for him to remember that he was Sheldon Creed. And yeah, Sam Mayer wins the race. By all means, that beats everybody. So it definitely beats Creed. So I was pretty happy to have this cash.
Yes. Nice try, Andrew. Not going to get us to go there today. We're not getting into that conversation. So, Rod, a conversation we will get into. Top Chevrolet, Brandon Jones 10-1. Looked like he was maybe going to win this race. And again, like I said, when we were talking about the Cup Series side of things, guys like Brandon Jones that you can't rely on to get finishes, it's okay to take bigger bets on him because he pops up, does well in random spots. This was that spot. We got to restart. He jumps out and just runs away. And I'm like, oh, buddy, here we go. And then he Brandon Jones did later, but still a good bet at 10-1. Top Chevrolet, Rod. I did also take Sam Mayer. I do believe first place means no other Chevys beat him. So Sam Mayer cashes the Top Chevrolet bet. Didn't have him as an outright, Rod, but hitting a 6-1 as a Top Chevrolet kind of makes up for that. So worked out well. Again, Allgaier was the best Chevrolet on the day, Rod. But we talked about it. Just Allgaier. Again, it's like Larson, it's like Bell, it's like Reddick. As good as he is, as good as his car is, something just always happens. And there's going to be races where he just wins, and you're like, oh, there's the Allgaier we all knew we were going to get at some point. But when are you going to get it, and when is shit going to go crazy? Shit goes crazy more than it doesn't. And it went crazy for Allgaier again. Man, just the guy can't catch a break. But it did work out for Sam Mayer, rather, to cash the top Chevy at 6-1 for us.
Yeah, teammates.
Also, Rod, I would like to apologize. I said bad things about this next bet. I highly disagreed with you. And I would like to say this doesn't happen often, as we all know from listening to the show, but I was wrong, Rod. So shout out to you.
AJ, I'm letting it soak in for a second. If you the brief moment of silence was me just soaking it in. AJ Allmendinger, top 5 car. AJ Allmendinger finished 4th. I told you. I said I have bleeding love for AJ Allmendinger, and sometimes my dinger goggles are on, which won't sell as good as Gibbs goggles because dinger goggles may be something you find in a store that you're not really allowed to go into.
You might be able to sell that to a different crowd, Rod, if they don't know what it is.
Listen, we are a full service podcast here, but no, listen, and I know at plus 190 it wasn't as sexy of a number as Sam Mayer as top Chevy at plus 600, but I did say that AJ Allmendinger was better than most people gave him credit for, including my co-host Cody Zeeb on this track. He definitely is a better driver than people really want to admit. He started 8th. And in fact, AJ Allmendinger, for better parts of this race, had no business cashing this top 5. So the thing is, he ended up there at the end with a lot of help. Creed would buy those goggles.
I think Creed has his own goggles.
He's got his own goggles. They're called.
Which could be the problem.
You remember those ones? I know you probably had them, Cody, because you were in the military too. Where they would give you the briefing and they would put the goggles on you. This is what it looks like when you had 4 beers.
Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like when you're
we had the
drunk.
beer goggles.
Yeah.
Do you think so? Like Jameis Winston, right? Throws 30 interceptions, then he gets LASIK and like fixes his eyes, and supposedly he's not so bad anymore. Do you think if Sheldon Creed like fixed his eyes to not have like 47 pounds of glass material in front of him,
100%.
he would be able to do better? Maybe
100%.
that's the problem.
Yep.
I don't know.
He'd win a race if he could just ditch the poundage on his face. I know because I have some myself. But yeah, anyways, so for AJ Allmendinger, 4th place finish. The guy was just there, and he was there at the end when he needed to be, and he wasn't ever going to fight for the win, and that's fine. I understood that, but that 16 car just persisted, and he was sick. He wasn't feeling good. It's always something. When I heard AJ Allmendinger was battling some sort of like not feeling wellness,
allergies.
Allergies.
Sneeze him in the helmet. Can you imagine you're going 180 miles an hour and you have to sneeze?
Oh no, I have like sinus pressure right now, and I'm a baby about it. There's no way I'm driving 180 miles an hour into
I throw out my back half the time when I sneeze. Like, dude.
Yeah, but you knew the narrative was in once he was not feeling well. So I'm sorry, I'll belay the point. AJ Allmendinger, top 5 cash, plus 190.
Yes, you and me both, Andrew. Andrew says I was so high on Creed coming into not only coming into Xfinity, but coming into the Gibbs car this year. Like, oh, I've still got that cut ticket, 2.5 wins, Rod. I'm about to send him a message and just tell him to pay out the other guy so I don't have to keep looking at it. But maybe he'll recover later this season. I doubt it, but we'll see. All right, Rod. I had a couple of top 5 bets. Taylor Gray, top 5 and plus 375. Starts 3rd place, so you're like, okay, here we go. Showing that Gibbs speed, right? But then he almost loses it on lap 1. Kind of has some other issues throughout the day. I don't think he really had a shot at this one. Brandon Jones, top 5, plus 300. He gets out to that lead. You're like, okay. Then he loses the lead. You're like, okay, still got the top 5. And then he falls back to 13th and does Brandon Jones things. Again, it's high variance when you play Brandon Jones, and we know this. I maybe went a little heavy on him going with top Chevy, with top 5, and with outright butt Rod. If he holds on to win that game, or to win the race, the game of the race of the game, whatever. If he holds on to win, then you're cashing all those, and it doesn't look so bad. So, again, I feel like they were all like good enough numbers. At plus 300, we saw him up there in the top 5 late. That's what you were going for. You got to circle him for tracks that he specifically is better at. This is one of those. And I'll probably do it next time we get to 1.5 miles again, because Brandon Jones just shows up at those. I'm sad that Xfinity doesn't go to Kansas in a couple of weeks, because be a place you bet on him, because Brandon Jones continuously good at Kansas. But we'll be back on him when we get to 1.5 miles again. It's a system that's paid off pretty well before.
Indeed. I know you had Taylor Gray as a top 5 as well in that box. Unfortunately, that didn't cash, sadly.
Yeah. I mentioned that before, but it didn't have a shot.
And then I had Cole Custer. I'm just going to say I had him as an outright at plus 550 and a top 3 at plus 160. That car was so damn fast. Cole Custer just could not hang on to it, man. He had the lead for a lap, and then that was
too much Andy's frozen custard.
That weighed him down. That and Sheldon Creed's glasses. He asked to borrow Sheldon Creed's glasses before the race, and that was it. But yeah, he was never going to win this race. I mean, he started second outside the pole of Jesse Love, and it wasn't in the cards. Cole Custer, but he could have held on for a top 3. Damn it! But he did let Allmendinger by. And Sieg was up there in the mix for some strange reason. So that could have been a top 3 for Cole Custer. So, yeah, I mean, late in the race, he just was giving up everything. He literally opened the screen door and said, come on, guys, I'm good. I'm going to let you by. So,
yeah, this one felt like it was going to cash for a while. And then, of course, it didn't. Rod, I had a winning manufacturer to be Toyota plus 165. I was all in on Toyota. No surprise, of course, not their week. I mean, they just had issues. Chandler Smith was fast yet again, but again, he ran into some troubles, the trouble being his teammate Sheldon Creed, but that's how it goes. Truex ended up having some issues. I think he got spun out at one point. Gray almost lost it in the first lap. So rough. Plus 165 on a mile and a half, where they've clearly been the best manufacturer, though I'm not sad about. I would take that again, especially when they weren't even the favorite, Rod. So and then just to boil over into my other winners, Chandler Smith, who I just talked about, again, not his day, plus 320. That's how it's going to go. Look, we've hit the outright a bunch of weeks in a row, taking a favorite. This time it didn't work. That's how it works. Ryan Truex at 8-1. I don't know. Brandon Jones 25-1 really gave us the best life. Sweated this one for a hot second until he turned into Brandon Jones again, and that's how it goes.
Well, it makes me wonder what Chandler Smith's car would have looked like if it wouldn't have had to rebuild the whole damn thing. If they would have had the car that they came with that weekend, he very easily could have been the fastest car, because the dude ran from the back to the front, and that just shows how fast he is. So if he could have qualified and actually been somewhere in the front, it might have been Chandler's to win.
Oh yeah, that's right. He did have to start. That's right. He didn't even get a qualifier.
They Frankensteined his whole car together.
That was last week. He started 4th this week.
Oh, did he? That was
the car just was Frankenstein at the end of the day because. Geez, Rod, do you even watch these races?
Never. I read the box scores and I read them a week late.
That was my favorite part about that guy was you didn't even watch this race, and it's like it's kind of what we do around here. Like if you're in the Discord, because we're talking about it live, and then we kind of recap and go over them. And sometimes, yes, we didn't catch a full race or we caught highlights or whatever, but we pay attention.
No, I know what it was. So I was going back through my DVR and deleting stuff because I have a lot of stuff saved. And so I went back a couple of weeks ago to the Xfinity race to watch the very end, like the interviews and stuff. And that's when he was like, yeah, they had to take my car back a bit. So that's why it was in my memory.
Do you have the Las Vegas race for the trucks under DVR, Rod? I'd like to see how fucking fast Ty Majeski was that day.
Oh, you know what? I'll go back to my deleted episodes and go see that one. All right, let's go to Friday night, which definitely was not DVR'd. I definitely watched that one, in which I watched Kyle Busch win the race. Kyle Busch at plus 160. Kyle Busch, who was the favorite. Kyle Busch, who won you money if you bet on him. Listen. If you tell me you don't listen to the show without telling me you don't listen to the show, like come at us on Twitter, but at least listen to what we have to say about it, because I told you, Cody backed me into a corner. He took every single driver that I wanted to pick as an outright. So I had to make a case for Kyle Busch. It wasn't that I said, oh, this is going to be the hardest pick in the world because Kyle Busch is a good race car driver and Kyle Busch could win this race because everybody knows that. No, I said it because I had to say it because there was no other driver for me to take. And guess what? I also told you that, it's going to be difficult to swallow this plus 160. But if Kyle Busch comes out and win this race, you're not going to be mad. Guess what, Cody? He ended up mad anyways. What the
Well, he obviously didn't bet on Kyle Busch, right? I think that's the problem.
Yeah.
Also, for the record, I'm the one who sends those tweets out. So it wasn't necessarily Rod touting himself. I was touting for Rod. So I would like the record to reflect. I still don't think it's a good idea to bet Kyle Busch at plus 160. However, If he wins the race at plus 160, Rod, they pay out the win at plus 160. You make the money. So great call by you. I know that we've gone a long time, so we can kind of speed through the Truck Series race here. But another good race.
Laps, so 160
yeah,
laps.
160 laps. It was a good race. Again, drama near the end of the thing. Kyle Busch ends up winning, but it wasn't like he really, won. I mean, well, he did win, but he didn't just destroy everyone. Now, there was a point in the race where he checked out. Late caution. Oh, excuse me. Late caution shakes things up, and that's how it goes. But all right, Rod, I started with Christian Eckes over Ty Majeski. Now, apparently I didn't watch the race in Las Vegas. Ty Majeski, according to this guy, maybe Ty Majeski's mom, do you think she has a burner account or something? I don't know. But apparently Ty Majeski, the greatest guy ever that day. I didn't realize that, or I misremembered. I don't know what the case was, but Christian Eckes, Rod, I don't believe there were, I'd have to go back and watch the whole thing. I'm not going to lie. I missed a few laps. There was commercials. They didn't show it on the TV, so I didn't see a couple of the laps for that. I might have went to the bathroom once, grabbed a beer out of the fridge, so I might have missed a couple laps, but every lap that I saw, Ty Majeski was nowhere fucking close to Christian Eckes the entire day. It was absolutely stupid to have these two guys paired up. Ty Majeski was battling for 18th 99% of the day. I know he ended up finishing slightly better than that, which apparently is what matters when it comes to the pay window anyways. But 10th place, disappointing day for Majeski. Eckes, much better throughout the day, ends up in 4th place, could have won this race. So yeah, easy cash for Christian Eckes over Ty Majeski. So if you blindly followed me on that, I apologize for making you money.
Yeah, I'm glad you didn't blind me. Yeah, I was blind when I saw this one.
You were.
I did. Well, listen.
Looking back on this, I should have stuck to my guns about Chase Purdy sucks, Rod. I'm a little bit pissed at myself for this.
You should have. But all the numbers pretty much said that Friesen was not going to be good here either. And however, for me, it pained me. I told you it pained me. I love my favorite Canadian. I do. I love him. But I took a bet against him, and he proved to
in that beautiful truck too. Like
it was Chili's truck.
We should have.
Yeah, we should have. Yeah. So Stuart Friesen in that Chili's truck did finish better than Chase Purdy, thereby not cashing this bet. And Chase Purdy didn't really have anything for the field. Started 15th. Like he got into a couple of issues as well, and got caught up and stuff. So yeah,
he looked a lot like Chase Purdy usually does. So. Yeah. There was that, but Friesen, ended up sideways, sliding through the grass at one point. Like not like he had not like he had a mistake-free day either. So, did Daniel Dye really finish in 6th place?
Yes, Daniel Dye finished in 6th place.
I was just looking back through these again. Andrew's saying he needs to get in the Discord so he can stop bothering his friends that don't watch NASCAR with his bets. Seriously, Andrew, you will love it over there. Yeah, you think we make fun of people on the show when they talk shit? You should have seen everybody ripping that guy in the Discord because that was great. Mm-hmm. But Rod, I had Roger Carruth plus 275 for a top 5. Look, that's a Vegas race that I didn't watch apparently, where he cashed an 80-1 outright for us. I believe he won that race, if I'm not mistaken. That was the thought going into this one. I don't know. He just wasn't that impressive. He looked okay in practice. Starts in 10th place, finishes 12th. I don't know that he was really ever a competitor to get in the top 5 here. I think a plus 275 with the information we had about how well he did at Vegas and how he's passed the eye test, which is why we bet on him in Las Vegas, which there's no eye test if you don't watch the races, Rod. I still would have bet on Raja top 5. I think maybe this gives us a discount on him in a couple weeks going to Kansas for the next truck race. They're off the next couple of weeks with Talladega and Dover, but they'll be back in Kansas. And I think that he's going to be a guy we're going to have to look for there again if he's priced like this, because we know he can get it done. If Daniel Dye can finish 6th, Raja can finish in the top 5. So it doesn't cash this week, but it's all Truck Series for basically the rest of the season is all house money, Rod, riding that 80-1 that Raja cashed just earlier in the season.
Indeed. Yeah, I mean, listen, and for Raja, bad things happen to good drivers sometimes. So that's just what happened to him, and we'll not give up on him at all.
Do you think JDK says we should listen to Waltrip Die as the next KFB in the truck? Does David I finish 6th? Do they award him extra spots for cinematography? How much do you want to bet Michael Waltrip took him to Andy's Frozen Custard after the truck race? I guarantee it happened. A great father and son moment for them.
took him to Chili's and then got him some Andy's frozen custard. He was like, "Here you go, son, have some." All right, my next bet was Heim over Majeski.
Oh, what a horrible bet! Did you even watch the Las Vegas race? Ty Majeski's the greatest driver ever. He was so fast, Rod.
I don't watch any of these races. I just read the box scores and make up my own story as to what happens at these races. But I will say, Corey Heim, God, give him another lap, dude. How do you think he could have chased down Kyle Busch?
He was so close. And another reason to be in the Discord, Rod. What did they drop him? 14-1 or 16-1 right before the race? Like he didn't qualify that well. 16-1 on 14-1 on Corey Heim, whatever it was. Everybody in the Discord got that.
He started 14th.
Oh yeah, he started. Yeah, and then he was 14-1 or something like that. Like a number that should never be hung on Corey Heim. Everyone got in on that. That would have been a great cash. Unfortunately, we were just short. But yeah, I mean, again, this wasn't even close. Like Heim was kind of so early on as he started climbing from 14th, but he was an okay car or truck, and then he looked good at the end. Was fast again. Majeski was nowhere to be found the entire night. So apparently he left all that speed in Las Vegas, Rod. Another bad beat here. I had Christian Eckes top 3 plus 175. Christian Eckes easily was top 3 a majority of the day. Easily top 3 until that last restart. And then Nick Sanchez got it. I mean, with Eckes and Heim, as much as I love both of them and we love how talented they are, like I think the two of them being as good as they are and being as competitive as they were with each other is what let Kyle Busch win this race. Because if it would have just been one or the other up there, I think they would have got Kyle Busch, but they kept holding each other up too much to get Busch at the end, which sucked. And Eckes came out on the bad side of this. So this was a great bet, plus 175. It was a really good number. He was there towards the end even. Doesn't cash, but I would place this 100 out of 100 more times going into this race.
Yeah, I mean, again, it was something that, Eckes was just as fast as everybody else was. So, and faster than Majeski too, turns out. My next bet, I tried to go back. I hate when I leave my speed in Vegas.
They don't give you that stuff back, says I am notorious.
No, they don't. In fact, when they clean out your hotel room, I'm sure they divvy it up by everybody else's on the staff. All right, my next bet was Matt Crafton. I tried to go back to the top 5 well for him at 8-1. He wasn't there, and he wasn't there for most of the race, unfortunately. It was not Crafton's day. He got mixed up into some crap, too, with some of these drivers, especially at the end there in lap 152. He got caught up in that incident, and he just wasn't going to be a top 5 car or truck all night, unfortunately. So, oh well.
Yeah, I mean, he had a flash kind of early, but I don't know. Well, and then Friday seems so long ago, Rod. It's been a long time. I promise I watched the race as much as but I feel like late in this race, he still kind of had a shot at cashing some of these. I know people were asking. I had him in a group bet, Group F over on Caesars against Purdy, Sauter, and Riggs.
He cashed that.
Which, by the way, he cashed despite finishing 15th. But I feel like he was like 5th place or something late in this race. He kind of fell back.
He was around there. That's what had happened.
Yeah, I don't remember if it was. Did he?
It was tire strategy. I think is ended up because he pitted earlier, or he pitted later rather, and stayed out because everybody else had come in, and they put him somewhere in the vicinity of the top 5. But he wasn't going to hang on to it because everybody else had fresher tires. So
that's what it was. You're correct. Thank you for paying attention to the race, Rod.
But
I called this the shitbox special, right? I said none of these trucks would probably do that well. We liked Crafton. And so, yeah, over Purdy, Sauter, and Riggs. Johnny Sauter finished in 17th, so he was kind of right behind him. But Chase Purdy, again, to my point of he sucks, 25th. And Lane Riggs, boy, Rod, are we maybe starting to regret putting Lane Riggs in this truck instead of Brett Moffitt? I know that's early. I know that he's young. I know that the talent we believe is there. It has been a fucking rough start to the season for Lane Riggs, and they need to figure something out. But I think he just spun out again, actually. He spun out like 8 times during that race. It was a rough day for Lane Riggs. So Matt Crafton did cash that group bet plus 240.
Indeed. All right. I had Tyler Ankrum back there playing with the squirrels and got his nuts cracked at plus 350 for a top 3.
One of the greatest lines every time. It comes out every once in a while, and it's always a great line.
It is, too. I love it. He's like, oh, you play with the squirrels, you're going to get your nuts cracked. And, yeah, he did. He had to start 33rd. He started way in the back and didn't even – I mean, listen, 2 laps in, I don't even want to talk about it. Thad Moffitt and Tyler Ankrum got in it. Poor Memphis Villarreal, we talked about him just a second. He got about a second's worth of airtime as they showed him getting collided with and collected in that crash. So we never got to see what Tyler Ankrum could do from the beginning.
Just destroyed both trucks, right? Because it was a practice, I think, where he wrecked the first one. So then he starts in the back because he doesn't get to qualify. And then that's the risk you run when you start in the back. And, we just didn't get to see it from him. I mean, it was really early in the race. You start in the back. Same with Raja, actually started in the back as well. Barely avoided that one. I thought that ticket was going to go up in flames early. So, yeah, just unfortunately we didn't get to see, but I wouldn't lose too much faith in Ankrum. Obviously, we saw how fast those trucks are for sure with Zane Smith and, of course, with Christian Eckes. Another bad beat, Rod. I had Taylor Gray, top 5 at plus 380. Again, was cashing until the very end. And then he finishes in 7th place as Zane Smith and Daniel Dye slip around him. Plus 380. This was a good bet, though. Again, it's been a Taylor Gray season. Man, he shows up. He does well, continues to run well, and we're going to continue to bet him at this. And then Corey Heim, plus 100 during the show. Again, that's why we love doing them live. Some people were tossing out. I know JDK was one of them, a couple other people. Heim was even money, Rod, plus 100 over on Bet365. It's like stealing because he should never, ever be priced at that number. And, Corey Heim, easy money for the even money, obviously. Almost wins the race and comes in 2nd place to Kyle Busch.
You know, it also is easy money plus even money plus even money, even plus money was my winning truck bet. Under 11.5. Ryan Sieg almost screwed the whole damn party up, but thank God that number 7 truck, that beautiful number 7 truck, slid across the finish line. And even if he hadn't, the 11 truck could have done it. Or Ryan Sieg. I'm thinking of the Xfinity race. It's late. Jesus Christ, where's my head at? The top 3 cars, any one of those, or trucks, any one of those would have slid across the finish line. It would have cashed this bet. The 7 of Kyle Busch, the 11 of Corey Heim, the 2 of Nick Sanchez, all 3 of those finished 1, 2, 3. So we were covered either way if any one of these guys would have gotten around him. Plus money for under 11. I told you that, yes, the majority of the trucks were above 11.5, but the power is below that number, and it proved to be the case in this instance. So,
well, especially, again, Kyle Busch was plus 160, and then you get under 11.5 where you're tossing Corey Heim in, and he ends up finishing 2nd, which was our entire point when you brought this up. This was a great bet. I know we both agreed on this one when you gave it out, so great call by you. Andrew wants to know what's happened to Ben Rhodes. Absolutely nothing has happened to Ben Rhodes. This is what always happens with Ben Rhodes, and the second you doubt him, that's when he goes and wins. Because last year, I talked mad shit about how Ben Rhodes sucked, and he's not doing anything anymore, and then he went out and won the race that weekend, and he goes on to win the championship because that's what Ben Rhodes does. He's like Joey Logano. He's not that great all the time, and then he pops up and wins when you least expect it, wins championships when you least expect it. Don't ever count out Ben Rhodes. That is my advice to you. Rod, outrights. I gave out Christian Eckes, Nick Sanchez, Raja Caruth. We talked about Raja kind of out to lunch, but a 20-1 for the guy who won at Las Vegas. I think it was still a good number. Nick Sanchez, 10-1. Boom, sits on the pole, plus 350, between qualifying and the start of the race. Runs a great race. He's up front throughout the day and ends up finishing in 3rd place. So I'll take that all day with the 10-1. For Christian Eckes, 6-1. Again, up front all day, for the majority of things. He started outside row 1. So you got Sanchez and Eckes right there. On side by side on the front row. They both look good throughout the day. They were both up there throughout the day. So again, you got good numbers on these guys because Kyle was in the field. Kyle doesn't always win these races, Rod. He almost didn't do it again, which is why you don't bet on Kyle Busch to win the trucks. But sometimes it works out, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, I'd say that a lot of times at that track at Texas, it worked out for you. JDK is saying 1st, 2nd, and 3rd were all under 11.5. I know. I thank you very much. That was what we were talking about. So, for the next bet for my outright, I hope you took Chase Purdy at 60-1 because you had fun. Because that's what this is all about, right? It's not about winning money. It's about having fun, calling out some gigantic long shots because that's what the entertainment value of this. So Chase Purdy, 60-1. I hope you took it.
All right. Well, great show, Rod. Please don't brag about this next bet that you placed because it would not be correct to brag.
Kyle
about.
Busch. Kyle Busch plus 160. Kyle Busch wins this race. Kyle Busch was the smart bet here, no matter what the hell happened. Yes, he probably could have lost that race had Corey Heim had one more lap. But you know what? Hey, kids, he didn't. He actually won this race. And at plus 160, I'm sorry that I won you money. I apologize. I will never do it again. I'm only going to come on this show to give you some outlandish takes so that you can sit back and go, man, that guy's so funny, yet I don't win anything by listening to him. Never, never, my friends. I will always be here to try to win you money. Am I going to do it every single time? No. Will you do it every single time on your own? No. And if you have a perfect track record, please jump on this show. I will gladly give this seat up if you show me.
Invite us to your private island first if you have a perfect track record.
Yeah, seriously.
We'd like to do the show from there. But then you can also come on the show as well.
Yes.
But yeah, no, it was a good call by you, Rod. Like you said, I mean, I got in the dock first. I took a lot of the guys you probably would have targeted. And Kyle Busch is Kyle Busch. Again, I say it on the pick show when we give it out. If you believe in it and you want to take it, you can't say he's not going to be one of the best cars or be the best car. I mean, he's going to be, and he was. And I mean, he was running away with that thing. If it wasn't for that late caution, right? Kyle Busch wins by 15 seconds. You don't even sweat this one at the end. But I will stand beside. I don't think you should take it most of the time because things like at the end of the race can happen, which almost happened, but it cashed for you. So hard to argue against that, Rod. Just please don't brag about it.
Okay, I won't. We'll just go ahead and move on to next week in Talladega.
Talladega Super Speedway. Let's fucking go. Oh, I'm so excited. I love Super Speedway racing. Gets the juices flowing. You break out the big dogs. You go into it thinking you're going to lose it all, expecting to lose it all. If you come out a winner, Rod, it makes it even better. You get all those big money bets in there. It is a fun week. I've heard some people say they don't bet on super speedways. I find that hilarious and entertaining. But hey, it's not for you. It's not for you. I'm excited to do it. I can't wait. And betting on super speedways is the most fun way to bet on racing.
Indeed. And we'll be here to break it all down for trucks this weekend. So we will definitely make do with that. And we may even have a special guest for you. I'm out of town on Friday. We're figuring something out for a show on Friday for you. So hang tight with that.
Yeah. So brace yourself for Cody maybe hosting the Friday show because we all know how rough that is. But that's all right. Well, we'll have Rod the rest of the week, thank God, before the Army takes him away. So, yeah, we'll be here. We got F1's back again. They're going to China for the first time since, I think, 2019, Rod. So that's going to be fun to break down. IndyCar's back. We'll be talking about that, assuming we get some odds. We're going to talk about it either way. I'll tell you that. But give us some odds, please. And then, yeah, trucks are off this week, but Xfinity and Cup take to Talladega. That's going to be a lot of fun. Of course, we'll have our DFS underdog episode. Go ahead and just prep those underdog fingers for a lot of worse thans, Rod, because that's the strategy at super speedways. Huge Mistake Gaming checking in. I believe it's a big Ross Chastain fan. Correct me if I'm wrong, but your guy almost had it tonight. Late night chat. Do you guys do anything else?
Nope.
No, actually, we don't.
Nope. This is it. We are robotics. We are AI generated, and there's no need
we definitely don't watch the truck race.
Nope. We just gather all the information from all of the algorithms and spit it right back at you with way too much banter. So, all right. Speaking of that, Cody, let's go and recharge our lithium batteries so we can come back on Tuesday for another episode of the show. Let everybody know where they can find your artificial intelligence presence on the web.
Yes. Find all of my stuff for things I don't watch over on the Twitter, the X they call it these days, Rod, at Husker_Zeeb. You can find all my stuff there. Got a ton of fun stuff out. Mock Draft 2.0 dropping Monday morning. So check that out. 2-round mock draft for the NFL draft, which is coming up. Those are always fun to do and kind of figure out who your team might get. So check that out. And I'll have a ton of other stuff coming out. Got some stuff for the Arena Football League coming out soon, Rod. Doing some work for them, which is great. And Chase Elliott, cheers to you, baby. Let's fucking go. Oh, Chase Elliott's back in victory lane.
Follow me on X at RJ Villagomez. Link in the bio. Everything I got going on. Too much to name here. It's already late, and we don't want to keep you out past your bedtime. So just make sure you hit it on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. Love you guys. Love every single one of you that stuck around with us this late at night and have some fun with us. Love Kyle Busch for winning the trucks. Love Chase Elliott for winning the cup race. And just, stick around with us on Tuesday for more. Until then, everyone, let's go racing and let it ride.